All right, this is going to be a look at RASHOD Bateman's 55-yard touchdown catch from Lamar Jackson in the Ravens' Week 1 win over the Jets. Of course, that one put the Ravens up 24-3 late in the third quarter. Essentially ended the game with the way our defense was playing. I got multiple plays to break down. I'm going to show you pretty much the whole drive, to be honest with you. And then at the end, do a little bit of a monologue about how the goalposts get changed on our players often. And sometimes it's us as Ravens fans that are doing it. And what I mean is, like, the total number of catches that Bateman had versus the one big impact play that he had, 55-yard touchdown to basically put the game away. It almost acts as if, it's a computer simulation and the players have to have the same level of impact every week. I don't think that's the type of team we have on offense or defense. I think we have the type of team, I made this comparison in the pass rush video I put out earlier, that everybody can score. Like a basketball team whereby everybody can score. We're all capable of having a contribution depending on the game and depending on the scheme of the defense we're facing. And I think Andrews was limited this week for various reasons. Bateman only had 2 catches, but we still got the job done and still were able to produce big plays in the pass game, and 2 of them on third down, which I think is quite impressive. So I'll kind of address the moving of the goalposts later on and really relate it to Lamar. I think it comes from the way that he was evaluated in the draft and the way that he continues to be evaluated by people who've hung their hat on him failing overall. And that's just not going to happen. So the moving of the goalposts, I think that mentality has shifted from, it doesn't shift from Lamar, it starts at Lamar and it moves out like a tree. It just grows and branches to all of our players. And we as fans, I think, shouldn't co-sign those things, even if we want to be critical. Let's start the film with the touchdown pass. Now, it's also possible that NFL Films is going to have somebody do a breakdown of this, so this may have to be deleted eventually, but it's a semi-roll concept. It's a 1st and 10, beautifully set up, great ball by Lamar. Coverage breakdown by the safety here, obviously. But prior to this play, we'd gone 22 personnel, 2 plays in a row, and run the football at them quite successfully, to be honest with you, with atypical rush schemes. And so then I love the call on 1st and 10 to go up top. I'm not a huge fan of Oliver and Ricard protecting off the right side edge, but in this case it worked. We certainly had very limited options on this route. On this route combination, you got Bateman running this kind of climb concept. What looks like Robinson, this kind of like curl in towards the hash, and then the running back leaking out late. So really Lamar doesn't have a ton of options, but I love the semi-roll concept. He's able to threaten the edge a little bit with his running ability, clearly. And we do a nice job protecting it. I'll break this down a little bit more and talk about it a little bit more here at the end. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewind, and we're going to look at the whole drive. We just forced a Jets punt to go up 17-3. Got the ball backed up, near our 10. And we've got a series of plays here that I think really set the Jets up. RPO incomplete to Demarcus Robinson. Throws a little low by Lamar, but the motion by Robinson I think is weird. We've seen Lamar complete this pass 95% of the time in the last year and a half that they've run it. In terms of 2021, he's normally very accurate with this, completing it to Marquise Brown in some cases, Devin Duvernay sometimes. It's the snag concept, whereby Bateman is running the snag. Robinson is running out into the flats. Interesting little thing that the Jets do, to be honest with you. They take their safety from the boundary side, and he runs over here. They're really subtracting numbers on the run play threat to this side, but the way they're getting away with it is this D-end is running with the running back, so he would theoretically tackle our running back from behind if this was a give to Kenyon Drake. I still would like to see this ball completed. I think Robinson's motion will get better. He hasn't been with us very long. Him and Lamar just didn't seem to be on the same page, not as comfortable. Love this concept. 12 personnel. We're going empty. We get a short completion to Andrews. Couple of things I'd like to mention here. Andrews kind of checks it up. Running back out in the flats. And then I think we're getting some type of vertical, maybe it's a post at the end. I'm not sure. But we've got 3 routes developing to that side, and we're really, essentially, we've got a 3-on-3. So as this develops, you've got the corner, which is Gardner, strong safety, Whitehead, I think, 29. No, it's not Whitehead. I'm not sure who that is. Joyner. And then inside linebacker, that's their 3. And then we've got our 3 Here, I like our chances here. I like our numbers. A couple of things to mention. It's 12 personnel. That's likely, and that's Andrews. So because it's 12 personnel and we go empty, we're getting their base 4-3 defense. I think that's Alexander, that's Mosley, and that's Quincy Williams, the inside linebacker. So I think we've got their base personnel on the field. We've put them in a somewhat difficult position, and we're getting this drop coverage by the safety here, probably because they were anticipating the over concept by Andrews. That's not what we gave them. We get the little short completion to him, turns into a 15-yard gain. All right, next play. 2 run plays in a row that really set up that play action to Bateman, if you ask me. Kenyon Drake on a one-back power play. Really well blocked. Shows you some of the things that that we can do. Powers is going to pull and kick out this front side. I think that's a linebacker there. I can't see the number here, but we'll see it from the end zone angle. And then Linderbaum has got to block back on the D tackle away from the play. It's funny to me that people were like, I don't know if he can play in a gap scheme. Like, he's just blocking back on the D tackle. It's the simplest block that's part of the concept, for real. You get the end zone angle here in a minute. It's a long way for Powers to go at left guard and get out here, and then pick up the linebacker. We do a nice job, I think, with Ricard and Oliver, who Oliver actually had some good moments blocking-wise, to be honest with you. He kind of falls down here, but him and Ricard stay on that D end and eventually, open up the down block series. So I call it down, kick, one back power, whatever. We're just down, 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 and we're back blocking with Linderbaum, pulling with Powers, and he's going to go get this front side inside linebacker, which again I think is Quincy Williams. I love this concept. It's B-gun, so it's Trey to the right, 2 tight ends to the right, Oliver and Ricard. You can see Ricard stay on the guy. Linderbaum doing a nice job locking the guy up backside. Macari stepped in and hinged, so there's there's really no possibility of this D tackle sliding through here. The D end on the other side kind of ended up folding over the top. He's not going to be able to make that play from the backside. Drake does a nice job getting a nice gain. All right, next concept, also 22 personnel. And I think that last one was 21. My apologies. Let's check it again. Yeah, it's 21. We got Duvernay on the field. We got Ricard, who's the fullback. Oliver, who's the tight end. And then off screen over here to our left is a receiver. So this is 21 personnel. It's not a 21 formation, but in reality, they're going to treat it like 21 personnel. 22 personnel. You got 2 tight ends up here, I think Oliver and Andrews, and then 2 running backs in the backfield. 22, get the base personnel response by the Jets. Wham trap. Not exactly wham the way that it was taught to me. Clearly Mike Davis has got to protect the ball better, but I love what we're doing. We're leaving this D tackle unblocked, and then Oliver's going to block down on him. It's essentially a trap block, and we create great angles. Linderbaum gets up to the front side inside linebacker. Ricard is on the backside inside linebacker. There's the wham. My bad. The wham happened here on this D tackle. Now that D tackle kind of did shed Oliver. Oliver didn't, destroy him or anything, but he was able to at least seal him, let Davis get through there. Davis showed a good burst on that play, just got to protect the football. We were very fortunate that I think Tylan Wallace recovered it. Let the play run a couple of times and I'll break some of it down for you. Just great angles created on the run scheme. And some of these atypical run schemes were what really worked more in the second half. You had the one-back power play at a B-gun. We weren't reading anything. It was just a give to Kenyon Drake. So it's not like we were reading the option, and that worked. We had this play, this wham block, which is, D tackles are not used to being left unblocked and then trapped in the NFL. Trap is a very rarely used play, and the wham trap is used even less frequently than that. The angles that we created are really spectacular on this. It's all about angles when you're trying to block people, right? Linderbaum goes up to the front side inside linebacker. Ricard leads and then gets the backside inside linebacker, which is Mosley. Oliver gets just enough of this D tackle on the wham trap, and then on the backside of this, Powers and Macari are able to hinge block back on the backside. I think I drew those 2 up backwards. Macari released up to the backside inside linebacker, which I think is Alexander, 9. And Powers took the backside D end. Got it all blocked up. Davis with a nice cut, burst. away from the defender, switches the ball. It looks like he's really focused on these two guys and not so much on this corner. And I don't think Tylan Wallace does a great job here of blocking, but him and or Mike Davis does a great job of recovering the fumble. We'll pull this back to the All-22. There's Wallace here. Certainly not trying to pick on him, but it looks like he doesn't think the play is going to end up to his side. Doesn't really engage the guy or make contact at all. I would not say that's a 0 under the grade system I'm familiar with wide receivers in terms of blocking people. That's a 0 because, and here's why I mention it, because this guy right here, track him now. He's the guy that forced the fumble. He's the guy that forced the ball back inside. So not a great snap if you ask me for Tylan Wallace. All right, so we went 21 personnel, one back power to Drake. We went 22 personnel, wham, trap to Davis. We got the fumble. Fortunately, we recovered it. Now we go 21 personnel again. We bring Ricard in motion left to right, and we roll Lamar like the semi-roll out here. I love that. It's a atypical pass play for us, meaning it's not play action and Lamar in the pistol and just stepping back, which is normally what we have done in the last 2 or 3 years. It's also not him under center running play action boot. We've got the back to the side of the quarterback, and he's crossing Lamar's face. And then we get the semi-roll action with Lamar out to the opposite side. Frees him up. Great route by Bateman. Safety messes it up. Not Ahmad Gardner's fault at all. This is a planned play, guys, on 1st and 10 after 2 run plays. This is a designed play to go up top. You've got this route by Demarcus Robinson, I think you've got the running back out into the flats late, and then Bateman running this kind of climb post, I guess. Coverage mix up on that one. Nice job at the end by Morgan Moses to keep one guy who looked like he could have possibly gotten pressure. Ricard and Oliver are doing a good job on the front side D end here. And then watch Moses just get one last little chip on this guy to keep him from getting to Lamar and allow him time to throw the ball to Bateman. All right, shifting or moving of the goalposts. It's happened to Lamar since pre-draft process, post-draft process. He can't play quarterback in the NFL. He gets in 2018, goes 6-1, gets us to the playoffs. This style of play is not sustainable. We're in the playoffs, and clearly we lose to the Chargers. Okay, he can't do this. 2019, we win 14 games. He wins 13 of them, sits the last week of the regular season. Unanimous MVP, youngest MVP ever, I believe. Leads the league in touchdown passes. Ravens have the most efficient passing offense in the NFL. Not sustainable. We lose in the playoffs. 2020, we come back, COVID season, whatever you choose to call it. Very weird, unusual season. Lamar doesn't play as well, doesn't have the same statistical impact. Our team clearly was not as good. We get our first playoff win, and we lose to the Bills on the road. And what's happening is all the people saying things, they wait to say them until something bad happens. Something bad happens in the playoffs, something bad happens in a game in Week 13, and they bring back those same narratives. They move the goalposts depending on how Lamar is playing, and in my opinion, last year all the injuries just did further damage to that because Lamar played like a superhero in the first 5 or 6 weeks, and then things went downhill for our team because of injuries and because we were so predictable offensively that teams were able to adjust by then because they had so much film of us running the same plays out of the same formations. I think the moving of the goalposts has branched out to our other players on our team. RASHOD Bateman being one of them. He only had 2 catches, 63 yards or 73 yards, something like that, including this 55-yard touchdown. Bateman wasn't involved. He had a 55-yard touchdown catch. Would you take Bateman, his season stats for this year being 34 catches, 17 touchdowns? Yes, you would take that. It would be the most unusual season in the history of football. It would be like, forget the receiver, Will Fuller, to the third power. Will Fuller's one of those guys who'd have 45 catches and 9 touchdowns in a season, which is a very, very weird ratio of touchdowns to overall catches. Yes, we would take that. Now Bateman's going to have some games where he goes 10 for 120 and a touchdown, and he's going to have some games where he goes 7 for 62. So he makes a higher number of catches, but it's a shorter yards per catch. I just don't like that, and we're guilty of it as fans. What happens is I think fans, all of us, we sometimes co-sign some of the things we see people parroting on TV or radio or whatever analysis stuff that is not Ravens-centered. To me, were I not a content creator, I would be watching Sip to Tally Edgar Allen, Huddle It Up Films, Cole Jackson, Ken over at Film Study Ravens, all of the people that create content. I would be watching them because they're people that watch the team every week and can kind of see the improvement as the season goes on, as opposed to the really weak, shallow narratives that have been thrown at, pretty much most of the Ravens since Lamar, became the starting quarterback in his rookie season of 2018. Forgive the little monologue there, but I'd like to take up for our guys for real, especially as it relates to Lamar Jackson and Rashod Bateman as well. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you really enjoyed this content, this particular video, consider sharing it on social media to help increase its reach. Thank you guys for checking out the vid.